What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we jump in, a couple quick things. Of course, big shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a couple of different services. One is to obtain a US or Canadian dollar loan using your Bitcoin as collateral, and the other is their Bitcoin savings account where you can earn interest on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. If you sign up using the link down below and you get a loan, they will credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin, so be sure to check that out. And secondly, if you are privacy conscious, and I believe that many should be if you are in Bitcoin, then using a VPN is a very good idea. I use NordVPN, and essentially what it does is it helps mask your IP address, it helps encrypt your browsing data, and it has the added benefit of being able to unlock any geo-blocked content. I run it on my computer and on my phone, and there's a link down below where you'll get 75% off a 3-year package. It ends up being about $3 a month, so pretty solid. Feel free to check that out down below. And without further ado, let's dive into the news. So just some brief price chat here. Of course, we've had quite a pullback the last little bit, so I think the last actual news show I did would have been on Friday, so it's down quite a bit from there. We're sitting at the time of recording this around 95.70, but I don't even know why I quite quote the price on this channel, because when it's volatile, it's really, it could be anything by the time this goes up. Regardless, we are down down below 10K for the second time this month. So let's take a look, and also looking across the board, when it comes to coins versus Bitcoin, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So, I mean, there is more green kind of in the top here. You see some of them that are up a fair amount. Of course, this is on the 24-hour, so be sure to always look over to the far right and see the 7-day, 90-day, and 1-year change versus Bitcoin to get a better picture of what's happening. Regardless, the price in general, what could we be looking at in the near term? Well, there seems to be a little bit of a repeat pattern, so a bullish falling wedge, and it appears to have broken out of that pattern, although at the time of this article, I believe we broke out of it, and I think we've fallen back into it since. So we will see if this pattern holds. If it does and we break upward, then we're looking at a couple of different things. We could be seeing retests of a breakout point around 10,700, or we could be headed up back towards the 11,630 zone, and beyond that, who knows, possibly retesting the 13.8 range, but we will have to see. That is only if this pattern holds. If it breaks downwards, then there's a lot of support levels to look at there that are better established than anything to the upside still. So I guess time will tell. Let's move on to what I believe to be the story of the day. There was a Facebook hearing with the Senate Banking Committee today. So Calibra, which is the wallet project in which the Libra cryptocurrency is being developed with Facebook, the Calibra head David Marcus was there in front of the Senate Banking Committee. And so they addressed a number of things. One of the main concerns with the Senate here was that there's going to be no regulatory oversight, and that the Libra cryptocurrency could be complicit when it's used illegally for illicit means. So some of the interesting things that came out here are that the Calibra wallet is only going to be integrated with WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. So, Facebook-owned platforms. So they won't host any other cryptocurrency wallets on their platform, at least for the time being. So that means no Bitcoin, no Ethereum, no anything else, just Libra on their own platforms. However, Libra will be able to be sent to third-party wallets outside of the service. So if you have a multi-coin wallet, you may be able to store Libra there if they decide to support it. So is this an advantage or a detriment? Well, that's tough to say. I venture to say in the long term it's a detriment because people want choice and options, and if you don't give it to them, they will migrate to other platforms. So you may have an influx of people on Facebook and WhatsApp using Libra initially, but if they want to use alternative currencies and they want to switch out of that and they can't do it on that platform, well, guess what? They're going to be diving into alternative wallets and moving away from Facebook and WhatsApp. So in the long term, in the short term, maybe a good idea, but in the long term, I feel like they're going to have to fold and integrate other wallets into their platform or risk losing users. Another thing that was brought up was that their headquarters is based in Switzerland. Now, the Senate seems to see that as, hey, we need to get out of the US so that we avoid regulatory oversight. However, Calibra head David Marcus said that it's because that's where some major financial players are based, like the Bank of International Settlement. I don't know if I believe that, but we'll just leave that one there. Now, he did say that he agrees that regulations will come from the Treasury in the US and that the Libra cryptocurrency will be regulated that way. Another thing that they touched on here is issues of trust. So there's currently 28 members of the Libra Association. So the Senate was asking about why should we trust Facebook to put together this currency and govern it essentially, and their response was, it's not going to be us governing it. You don't need to trust just us because there's a committee on the Libra Association of currently 28 members, but they expect it to grow to around 100 members. So, and not only that, but no one player will have more power than the other. It's going to be pretty much flat across the board. David Marcus also said, he said this, tagged it on, if the U.S. is not the one to lead in this sector, then development will surely move outside of its borders and potentially outside of its regulatory oversight. Now, another contentious issue that came up was data collection, and that one was very unclear. They weren't very clear as to what would be collected and how. And yeah, it was sort of danced around the topic, but it's really still a big question mark. Now, it was alluded to that Libra would be able to hold funds if they were caught with illicit use, like terrorism or something like that. But they were kind of unclear when it came to non-custodial wallets. So for me, that brings up a couple questions is, if you're holding Libra via Facebook Messenger or on WhatsApp, if they're capable of holding your funds, is it a custodial wallet in that case? Are they holding on to it? It kind of sounds like it if they can lock down your funds, or maybe they just remove access to your wallet via their platform. I'm not really quite clear on that. However, it sounds like if you're able to send funds to outside wallets, to non-custodial wallets, then I am not quite sure if they would be able to stop those movements of funds. It kind of sounds like no, but yeah, it's really unclear. So not everybody on the Senate was entirely happy with the answers that were given, but things are becoming a little bit clearer at least. The most interesting thing to me about all of this is the fact that Facebook tries to do anything like this, and the full wrath of the law comes down upon them, and here's Bitcoin just kind of chilling out, and there's nobody to bring into a Senate hearing. So very interesting, and again, really, for me, it just makes the case for decentralization. The fact that they have somebody to bring in and say you are or are not allowed to do this is enlightening. Anyways, let's move on. I wanted to draw attention to this. So the Tor project, which essentially allows you to anonymously surf the internet and mask what you are doing on the internet and preserve your privacy, well, they're trying to raise funds to help fund the project, which I think is a great thing. I fully encourage you to jump in on this. Again, this is, now the article here, it says BitPay. It is not BitPay. It is BTCPayServer. It does say that later in some of the quotes and everything, but just know BitPay is not associated with this. This is BTCPayServer. Essentially, they're trying to raise $10,000, and actually, when I took a look, they have already raised that amount. They are up above it, 10,330. But hey, extra donations are always welcome. And if you've got a Lightning wallet with some sats kicking around, then I encourage you to donate to this. Some quotes here from hodlner, the guy who started the Lightning Torch. He said, "I will always remember how BTCPayServer facilitated the We Are All hodlner fundraiser. Now they are powering a super important fundraiser for Tor Project. If you value privacy and online freedom, please consider donating." And in fact, I am going to do that right now. I'm going to contribute, and I'm going to drop $5 here. I'm going to hit continue. And I think, there we go. Okay, now I want to pay with Lightning. I've got a Lightning wallet up here on my phone. Okay, scan to pay. And I'll hit pay, and let's hope that this goes through well. Great, awesome. It had a little sound effect there and everything. Sweet. So yeah, I encourage you, if you've got some sats kicking around and you want to help support a free and private internet, that you drop a donation here. And with that, let's move on to the next little bit of news. And this is just kind of a funny story. Anyways, 96% of BitcoinSV transactions are coming from a weather app. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, look at the transactions on BitcoinSV; they're growing. It's amazing." Yeah, it turns out it's just a weather app that hourly. I don't even know. Anyways, it's dropping just weather reports on the BitcoinSV blockchain, and it just immutable weather. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, it's you can see the percent by application that's on the blockchain there, and yeah, it's basically a bunch of weather being, I don't know, printed into the blockchain. I don't know why this is a thing that would be exciting, but it is apparently. Anyways, I'm gonna leave that one there. And finally, I just wanted to let you guys know I dropped an article today, and it's essentially my path into Bitcoin maximalism, kind of where I was coming from, what brought me to Bitcoin in the first place, what were the properties that I thought were important, and essentially what I've done is I've taken all of the things that I believe are important and that I think that Bitcoin exhibits, and I've distilled them down into 6 individual points. And I kind of go through the history of gold and why I believe that the gold standard eventually fizzled and failed, and why I believe Bitcoin potentially can prevent itself from ending up with the same fate as the gold standard. And so I kind of go through the history of that, and I go through all of those points and why it is a non-starter for any cryptocurrency to not have those 6 points or those 6 qualities that I find to be important. So I encourage you to give it a read. Let me know your feedback. I'm always interested. And again, I'm not a perfect writer, but I sometimes find that something like this is a good medium with which to kind of dump my thoughts. I think I also might end up doing just a full talking video on this topic topic at some point in the future, it may be useful. Anyways, with that, guys, I'm going to sign off here. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you want to help out the show, be sure to check out either of my sponsors in the links down below, Ledn.io or NordVPN. And finally, if you really like what you saw, you can drop me a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. But if you would rather, then I prefer you go over to the Tor Project and donate something there. And with that, I am out. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and I will see you tomorrow for your daily session.